At this point, it's over. That whole Sky Barbie thing, that thing is over. Angel Reese is done in Chicago.
Angel Reese just made the biggest mistake of her young career, and Courtney Vandersloot absolutely destroyed her for it. We're talking about a verbal smackdown so brutal that it might have ended Reese's time in Chicago before it really even started. The rookie-turned-sophomore thought she could take shots at a WNBA legend and get away with it. Spoiler alert, she was dead wrong. Here's where things get spicy. Reese decided to run her mouth about Vandersloot during what should have been a routine interview. She looked straight into the camera and basically called one of the greatest point guards in WNBA history washed up.
If you're gonna go at a legend, you better not miss. As we know, Angel Reese come out this week. She absolutely crushed her own teammates into the dust, and she even decided to go after a legend, the legendary Courtney Vandersloot, who of course blew out her ACL at the beginning of the season, and she is in the midst of making a comeback.
The audacity is honestly impressive in the worst possible way. Reese said Vandersloot was too old, questioned whether she could come back from her torn ACL, and suggested the Chicago Sky needed to move on from her entirely. Now, let's pause for a second and appreciate just how stupid this move was. Vandersloot isn't some random veteran hanging around for a paycheck. This woman is a 5-time All-Star, 7-time assist champion, and 2-time WNBA champion. She's literally in the conversation for greatest point guard of all time. And Angel Reese, who hasn't even completed 2 full seasons, decided to publicly trash her teammates' ability and durability. But wait, it gets worse. Reese didn't just question Vandersloot's basketball skills. She went after her personally, suggesting that age was catching up to her and that the team would be better off without her leadership.
Angel will not have the career that Courtney Vandersloot has had. She won't. You know why? Because I don't think the league's going to tolerate her long enough. She's going to run her mouth until she just ends up jumping from team to team until she does what I think she should do right now.
This wasn't some private locker room disagreement that got leaked to the media. Reese voluntarily sat down for an interview and chose violence against her own teammate. The timing couldn't have been more brutal either. Vandersloot had just been grinding through months of rehabilitation after tearing her ACL at the beginning of the season. Anyone who knows anything about sports injuries understands that an ACL tear is no joke, especially for a veteran player. The recovery process is physically and mentally exhausting. The last thing any athlete needs during that vulnerable time is their own teammate questioning their ability to come back.
Angel Reese, you got her twisted. She said, contrary to what people think, what people say or think, my age is actually not a factor. I am coming back. This is after Angel Reese said, yeah, Sloot is old. We need somebody young that can do this, that got some experience, but we need somebody young. She too old. I don't know if she can come back from that torn ACL.
And here's the kicker. Reese made these comments while Vandersloot was actively working her way back to the court. The woman was putting in countless hours of physical therapy, strength training, and skill work to return to the game she loves. Meanwhile, her teammate was on television, basically writing her obituary as a basketball player. What makes this even more ridiculous is that Reese acted like she was doing some kind of favor for the organization by speaking her truth. She positioned herself as someone who cares so much about winning that she's willing to make the tough calls about roster construction. The problem is that she's a second-year player with 0 playoff wins, talking about a champion who's been carrying franchises for over a decade.
It is crazy, but it shouldn't shock me coming from this fan base at all. Oh, but she's on video now, and she's made a direct shot. Courtney has answered the shot from Angel Reese. And I got to be honest with you. How much, I'm going to speculate out loud. How much shit was Angel Reese talking in that Chicago Sky locker room last year around Kennedy Carter about Caitlin Clark?
The basketball world collectively held its breath, waiting to see how Vandersloot would respond. Would she take the high road and ignore the disrespect? Would she handle it behind closed doors? Would she fire back publicly and risk escalating the drama? Well, buckle up, because what happened next was absolutely savage. Vandersloot didn't just respond to Angel Reese's comments. She obliterated them with the kind of precision that only comes from years of elite-level basketball experience and the confidence of someone who has nothing left to prove. improve. Courtney Vandersloot's response was absolutely nuclear, and she delivered it with the kind of ice-cold precision that makes legends. When asked about her future and whether age would be a factor in her comeback, Vandersloot didn't dance around the question or give some politically correct non-answer. She looked directly at the interviewer and dropped a verbal atomic bomb that basically ended Angel Reese's whole argument in one sentence. Here's what made it so devastating. Vandersloot said, "Contrary to what people think, my age is actually not a factor."
Sloot wasn't going for it. And I'm going to tell you right now, Courtney Vandersloot has won a title in Chicago, and she will not be playing with Angel Reese next year. I'm going to tell you that right now. Angel Reese is good as gone. Good as gone.
"I am coming back." The way she emphasized those words wasn't just confidence talking. It was pure championship pedigree shutting down amateur hour. She didn't even mention Reese by name, which somehow made it even more brutal. Everyone knew exactly who she was talking about, and the message was crystal clear. Sit down, rookie, and watch how a real professional handles business. But the real genius was in what she didn't say. Vandersloot could have gone scorched earth and listed all of her accomplishments. She could have reminded everyone that she has more championship rings than Angel Reese has playoff appearances. She could have pointed out that her worst season is still better than Reese's best season. Instead, she let her resume do the talking and simply stated facts about her own situation. The basketball intelligence behind this response is exactly why Vandersloot has been successful for so long. She understood that getting into a public war of words with Angel Reese would only give Reese more attention and headlines. So instead of feeding the drama, she just casually reminded everyone why she's a Hall of Fame caliber player, while making Reese look like an amateur who doesn't understand how professional sports actually work. Now here's where it gets really interesting. Vandersloot's response wasn't just about defending herself, it was about establishing hierarchy and respect within the organization.
She had to say before we get to Shannon and Ochi.
Can Sky Nation expect to see you back here next year? Oh, absolutely. You know, contrary to what people say or think, my age is absolutely not a factor. I am coming back. I'm going to come back better than ever because that's what I've done. I put myself in the position to come back and compete even at this age. Better than ever. Thank you so much.
That's a shot directly. That is a shot directly at you, Angel Reese.
When a veteran of her stature speaks up like this, it sends a message to everyone in the locker room, the front office, and the league itself. The message is simple. There are levels to this game, and Angel Reese hasn't earned the right to question anyone's basketball credentials yet. The timing of her response was perfect too. Vandersloot waited just long enough for Reese's comments to marinate and for people to really process how disrespectful they were. Then she came back with a statement that was measured, professional, and absolutely lethal all at the same time. It was like watching a masterclass in how to handle disrespect without stooping to the level of the person who disrespected you. What made this even more embarrassing for Reese is that Vandersloot's response highlighted just how unprofessional the original comments were. While Reese was running her mouth about teammates and interviews, Vandersloot was focused on her rehabilitation and comeback. While Reese was creating drama and controversy, Vandersloot was putting in the work to return to elite-level basketball. The basketball community immediately recognized what had just happened. This wasn't just one player responding to another. This was a legend putting a young player in her place using nothing but facts and class. Vandersloot didn't need to yell or throw insults or create social media drama. She just stated her intentions and let her track record speak for itself. Here's the part that probably stung the most. Vandersloot's response made it clear that she viewed Reese's comments as nothing more than noise from someone who doesn't understand the game at the highest level. The dismissive nature of her response suggested that she doesn't even consider Angel Reese qualified to have opinions about veteran players and their capabilities. The contrast between the two responses couldn't have been starker. Reese's original comments were emotional, unprofessional, and designed to create headlines. Vandersloot's response was calculated, respectful, and devastatingly effective. It was the difference between someone who plays basketball and someone who understands basketball as both a sport and a business. The Chicago Sky locker room is officially a disaster zone, and Angel Reese might be the main reason why everything is falling apart. We're not talking about normal team disagreements or the usual bumps that come with professional sports. This is a complete organizational meltdown that has veterans questioning their future and management scrambling to control the chaos. Let's dig into the real mess happening behind closed doors. The Vandersloot situation isn't happening in a vacuum. Multiple sources within the organization have indicated that Reese has been creating tension with several veteran players throughout the season. The woman who was supposed to be learning from experienced teammates has instead been questioning their methods, their leadership, and their place on the team. Think about how wild this actually is. Angel Reese is essentially a rookie in terms of professional experience, yet she's been acting like she knows better than players who have been competing at the highest level for years. She's been second-guessing coaching decisions in team meetings, openly criticizing veteran leadership during practice sessions, and now taking her complaints public through media interviews. But here's where the story gets really juicy. Team insiders have revealed that Reese's attitude problem started way before the Vandersloot comments. Apparently, she's been vocal about wanting changes to the roster, suggesting that certain veterans don't fit with the team's future plans, and positioning herself as someone who should have more influence over organizational decisions. The audacity is honestly breathtaking. This is a player who hasn't proven anything at the professional level, trying to run a franchise like she's LeBron James or some other established superstar. Reese seems to have confused her college success and social media following with actual WNBA accomplishments, and that confusion is destroying team chemistry. Now let's talk about what this means for team culture. Successful basketball teams are built on trust, respect, and shared commitment to winning. When one player starts undermining veteran leadership and creating public drama, it becomes impossible to maintain the kind of environment necessary for championship-level basketball. Role players start choosing sides, coaches lose authority, and the whole system breaks down. The Vandersloot situation perfectly illustrates this breakdown. Instead of supporting a teammate who was working through a difficult injury recovery, Reese decided to publicly question her value to the organization. That kind of behavior sends a message to every other player on the roster that nobody is safe from being thrown under the bus if Angel Reese decides she doesn't like something about their game or their situation. Here's the part that makes this even more ridiculous. Reese has been complaining about not having enough talent around her to compete for championships. She's been vocal about wanting the organization to bring in better players and create a more competitive roster, but then she turns around and publicly disrespects one of the most accomplished veterans on the team, essentially telling potential free agents that Chicago is a place where young players can disrespect legends without consequences. What kind of established player would want to join this mess? Why would any veteran free agent sign with an organization where a second-year player can publicly question your abilities and create media drama without facing serious consequences? Reese's behavior is actually making it harder for Chicago to attract the kind of talent she claims she wants to play alongside. And then there's the leadership vacuum this creates. Teams need veteran voices who can hold younger players accountable and teach them how to be professionals. When those veteran voices are being undermined and disrespected by the players they're supposed to be mentoring, the entire development structure falls apart. Young players stop learning proper professional behavior because they see that disrespect and drama actually get rewarded with attention and headlines. The Chicago Sky front office has been put in an impossible position. They can't publicly support Reese's comments about Vandersloot without disrespecting a franchise legend and championship contributor, but they also can't come down too hard on Reese without admitting that they've completely failed to control their young star and create proper team culture. What makes this situation even more embarrassing is that other young players around the league are watching this drama unfold and learning exactly what not to do. While Angel Reese is creating chaos and burning bridges, her peers are building relationships with veterans, learning from experienced players, and positioning themselves for long-term success in the league. The contrast is so obvious that it's become a case study in how to handle your early professional career. Do you create dramas? Angel Reese's pattern of creating unnecessary drama didn't start with Courtney Vandersloot, and it definitely won't end there either. This woman has turned controversy into her personal brand, and frankly, it's getting exhausting to watch. Every few weeks, there's another story about Reese running her mouth, creating tension, or finding new ways to make everything about herself instead of basketball. If you enjoyed this breakdown of the Angel Reese and Courtney Vandersloot drama and want to see more content covering the latest WNBA controversies and behind-the-scenes stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comments what drama you want me to cover next.